So jumping into Isaiah, I want to divide Isaiah up a little bit. It is presented as one book in your Bibles, but it's pretty well known to be actually a kind of an amalgamation of a couple different ones, and that's pretty across the board. The scholars seem to think that's what it is. It's more than one book. So just for our purposes, I want to divide it up a little bit. I'm going to call it first Isaiah, second Isaiah, and third Isaiah. So remember, in the prophets, the exile is sort of the hinge point for um, um, what they're talking about, kind of their social, economic, religious situation. So, in broad purposes, first Isaiah is pre-exile, second Isaiah is mid-exile, third Isaiah is post-exile. So we get a little bit of each, and you can tell when you read them that they're quite different. So you see my division there. The um, First Isaiah is chapters 1 through 23, then 28 through 33. Second Isaiah has a little, and these aren't perfectly divided, as you can see, but second Isaiah is 34 and 35, then 40 through 45. And then there's this interesting little tidbit in chapters 36 through 39. It's a copy almost of Second Kings, a couple chapters there, which is a nice little reminder that the historical books and the wisdom books and the prophets go together. They're coming through at the same time. And then third Isaiah is we got a little bit earlier, chapter 24 through 27, and then 56 through 66. This might be helpful to come back to when you're reading, just to kind of glance again at what's what. So the timing of first Isaiah, and I put the wrong number on there, didn't I? It's we'll just say for our purposes 1 through 33, not 39. So we will say that it is somewhere in the neighborhood of 742 to 700-ish BC. So remember, the years before, or the years in BC go from high to low, not low to high like they do in AD. So 700 is after 742. So just some things going on. Remember, this is the age of the kings, Uzziah and Jotham from 788 to 735. Ahaz from 735 to 727. There's a lot that has to do with kind of um, um, what we would now call foreign policy. Um, Syria, Ephraim. There's this anti-Assyrian alliance going on. That's sort of the geopolitics of the world at the time. We read about this in Isaiah 7, and that comes in the years 734 and 735. Again, BC. So that's under the time of Ahaz. These are just some things to kind of point out so you kind of understand what's going on at the time. And then there's Hezekiah. Hezekiah is not looked upon fondly by Isaiah. And it's during Hezekiah's reign that there's the Assyrian siege on Jerusalem. We read about in the year 701 BC. So if we kind of divide up first Isaiah a little bit and just sort of outline it, chapters 1 through 5 starts out God's case against Jerusalem and Judah's sin. Remember, northern and southern kingdoms, they're not being faithful, Isaiah says. And so then chapter 6 is Isaiah's commission from God to prophesy, and it gives us an image of God sort of enthroned in heaven. Isaiah encounters Ahaz the king. In chapters 9 and 11, there's this plan that God has for the house of David. So, in other words, the line of kings, so and so was the father of so and so, who's the father of so and so, and they were kings. Sandwiched in that is God's plan to use Assyria, this foreign power. Um, Assyria was kind of the big foreign power who was not exactly an ally with Israel, of course, at the time. God, chapter 10 says that it's God's plan to use Assyria to punish an ungodly nation. Chapter 12 sort of anticipates that there's going to be a restoration. There's a sense of things aren't going to go well, but then there's hope and restoration of Zion. So anytime in the prophets that we read about Zion, Zion is it's literally a hill in Jerusalem, but it's sort of more representative of like how God dwells with his people. So it's the ultimate shalom, ultimate peace, how where God and his people in goodwill sort of collide. So when you read Zion, it is a literal hill, but it's more metaphorical. So continuing in First Isaiah, uh, 12 through 23, it's oracles against specific nations. Beginning with Babylon, oracle just means like when Isaiah or one of the prophets speaks about um, a nation. So chapter 22, there's a specific oracle about God's plan for Zion under the Assyrian siege. There's some apocalyptic stuff going on in Isaiah. Isaiah jumps around a little bit. 24 through 27, more judgment oracles against Israel, Judah, Zion, and then finally this idea or this vision of them returning from the exile. You don't have to remember all of this. It's just kind of worth um, planting that seed. So some of the themes of First Isaiah are going to be the exalted view of God. God is top. God is at the top of the food chain, so to speak, and then of Jerusalem also. First Isaiah in particular is quite situated in Jerusalem. Um, he has the idea that Jerusalem is the center of what God is doing. The monarchy, the kings are divinely chosen and eternally favored. King David's line will never fall, right? That's kind of Isaiah's vision. There is some, again, geopolitics, infighting, northern, southern kingdoms, and then with Assyria, who's the dominant world power at the time. So, prophets are kind of hard to read. There's a lot going on, but good read, important read nonetheless. So, happy reading.